My name is Kathy, and I'm 31 years old. That Christmas, my mom pulled out our old photo albums to show my fiancé. He froze, squeezed my hand, and whispered, "Don't you see it?" "See what?" "How can you not see it?" He pointed it out, and once I noticed, I couldn't look away. 5 hours later, I was on the phone with the police. I had always assumed that if something like this ever happened, something that could shatter your life, the kind of story people tell in therapy or on a true crime documentary, it would come with dramatic music, a low, unsettling hum, a cinematic buildup, maybe even thunder outside the window. But no, there was potato salad on the table, lamb that was cooked too long. My mom was softly humming Mariah Carey as she wiped down the counter, like she hadn't just turned nostalgia into a weapon for the 20th holiday in a row. No thunderclap, just the familiar holiday smell of lemon cleaner mixed with something faintly burnt. I wasn't waiting for anything unusual. That was the point. I walked in like always, smiled like always, pretending this wasn't just another yearly reminder that I never quite fit into the picture. My fiancé, Lucas, sat beside me with his usual quiet calm, observant, patient. The kind of man who could make a living off noticing things other people missed. I'd brought him because I thought he'd steady me. Turns out that was my mistake. My sister Nina was already there, twirling her glass of wine, dressed in something expensive and beige. Her boyfriend just kept nodding politely. My parents smiled as though everything was perfect. Dinner tasted the same as always, familiar but tight, words caught beneath the surface. The roast was dry, the raita too sharp. Mom asked Nina about her new position. Dad turned to Lucas with questions about computers, like he'd never spoken to a millennial before. Nobody asked me a thing. But that's the usual. I used to let it hurt. Now I just time it. How long it takes before they act as though I'm invisible. This year, 9 minutes. After dessert, Mom moved into her usual performance. She clapped her hands, announcing, "I brought out the albums," as if it was spontaneous, not something she orchestrated with military precision. She always brings out the albums. She always pretends she just happened to find them tucked in a closet beneath dish towels, and all of us put on the same rehearsed smiles like we haven't been flipping through those stained pages our entire lives. Nina leaned forward like she was at front row at an award show. Her boyfriend wore the mask of someone invested. Lucas sat quietly beside me. I kept watching him more than the photos. First album, birthdays, beach trips, awkward school portraits. Second album, Nina as a baby, Mom radiant, Dad looking proud. Third album, me. That's when Lucas changed. At first he said nothing, but I noticed. His shoulders tightened. His eyes narrowed at one page, then the next. He tilted his head in that same way he does when he's editing a photo and catches a flawed crop. He was scanning, comparing, calculating. And then, without meeting my eyes, he slid his hand under the table and grabbed mine. "Don't you see it?" he whispered. I stared back. "See what?" "How can you not see it?" Then he let go of my hand and casually went back to turning pages, smiling and nodding along as my mom reminisced about how I once tried to feed a pine cone to a stray cat. I sat there frozen. My ears were ringing. I tried to match his rhythm, keep my smile in place, but it felt like my skin was on backwards. When I leaned in and asked him again, he shook his head slightly. "I'll explain later," he said. "Just go along with it." Which is honestly the emotional motto of my entire childhood. We left 20 minutes later. Lucas made up something about an early flight, or maybe it was a late Zoom call. My mom fussed. My dad didn't care. Nina didn't look up from her phone. I kissed everyone goodbye like I wasn't unraveling inside. In the car, Lucas reached into his coat and pulled out a few loose photos. He must have taken them from the pile beside the albums. I hadn't even noticed. "Look," he said. I did. Kind of. The first one was me in a pink coat standing in front of a stone wall. I'd seen it before. It lived in my memory like bad wallpaper. "What?" I said. "It's just a photo." He handed me 2 more. "Same face," he said. "Same angle, same smile, same shadows. Look closer." I looked, and then I saw it. It was me, the exact same version of me, copy-pasted into different settings. One in front of a fence, one by a swing set, one at a fountain. But the expression never changed. Not one muscle. "They reused my face," I said. My voice sounded strange, like it came from the back of my throat. He nodded. Then he handed me another, a baby, pale, lighter hair, different bone structure. That's not you, he said. I don't think they ever had baby pictures of you. Last one. Me, Mom, and Dad in front of some old building. My outline was fuzzy. The shadows didn't match. I looked like a sticker someone forgot to finish peeling. I stared at it for a long time. Then I laughed. Not a real laugh. The kind of sound you make when something breaks in your head. So I'm a collage, I said. That's fun. Lucas didn't laugh. Why would they fake this? I asked. He didn't answer. Neither did I. I didn't know it yet, but 5 hours later, I would be calling the police. The thing about denial is that it doesn't break all at once. It leaks like an old pipe under the sink that everyone agrees not to talk about. You know it's dripping. You hear it, smell it, but you keep washing your hands and walking away. I stared at those photos all night. Lucas eventually fell asleep beside me, but I didn't move. Just sat there in bed like some kid waiting for monsters to show up. Except the monsters already had names. Mom and Dad. The photos were lined up on my nightstand. I kept checking them like they were going to fix themselves while I wasn't looking. They didn't. My face was still there, pasted, triplicated, frozen in some preset expression I didn't remember making. That baby, still not me. The lighting, still all wrong. And it hit me. Not as a scream or some thunderclap of realization, but like a whisper I couldn't unhear. I had no idea where I came from. I mean that literally. I have no memories before I was 5. None. When I was younger, I used to think that was normal. Or maybe not normal exactly, but at least explainable. My parents said it was because of the war. I was little. They said I was traumatized. They said the brain protects itself. They said a lot of things. And I believe them because what's the alternative? Telling your second-grade teacher that you think you skipped being a toddler? That your earliest memory is of standing in a fluorescent-lit hallway in a new country with your mom telling you to smile at someone holding a clipboard? Yeah, that was my first real memory. The immigration office. The buzz of lights. The feeling that everything was loud and cold and wrong. I didn't understand English yet, but I understood the look in my mom's eyes. Perform. From there, it was normal as it could be. We had a little apartment. I started school. My mom packed my lunches like the other moms did, except she didn't write notes. She sent me off with perfectly folded napkins instead. My dad read the paper like it owed him money. They worked hard. They gave me what I needed. But love, that was something else. When my sister Nina was born 2 years later, the temperature in the house changed overnight. Suddenly, there were baby books and camcorder footage and scrapbooks with glitter letters. There were birthday parties with coordinated themes. There were spa days. There were hugs. There was warmth. None of that had been there for me. Ever. With me, it was always, you're strong. You're independent. You never needed much. Which is just another way of saying, we didn't give you much. I used to tell myself it was because I was older, because I was first, because they were figuring it out. But now I wasn't so sure. There were no aunts, no uncles, no cousins. No one ever visited from the old country. We never went back. My parents said they had no one left. It was war, they said. Everyone is scattered. I asked about family once. My dad said it was complicated. My mom changed the subject. And then there was the Facebook message. I was 15. I walked into the kitchen and saw her on the laptop. She was staring at a message in a language I couldn't read at the time. Serbian. There was a name I didn't recognize. A woman. The message had hearts in it. My mom's face was blank. Then she deleted it, blocked the sender, closed the laptop. When I asked who it was, she said spam. Spam doesn't send you messages that make your hands shake. But I let it go, because I always let it go. I was diagnosed with PTSD at 17. Nightmares, panic attacks, this dull, ever-present fear, like something was always about to happen, like I was waiting for a door to slam that never did. My therapist asked me about the war. I told her I didn't remember it. She said that was probably why. Except now I know, I wasn't scared of the war. I was scared of her. I didn't remember that right away. It didn't hit like lightning. It came in pieces. That night, as I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the photos Lucas had taken, one memory blinked to life like a flashlight in a dark room. A woman. Not my mother, not the one who raised me. Someone else. A softer face, dark eyes. She smelled like citrus. I was holding her hand. And then there was another woman, not the one who raised me. Someone else. Softer voice, gentle hands. I was holding her hand. Then the woman I grew up calling Mom walked in. She was younger, smiling like she'd just arrived. The first woman leaned down and said in Serbian, "This is your babysitter." That was the first time I met her. Then another flash. Me pulling on a coat, crying, saying, "I want mama," and a hand on my shoulder, tight. "Don't say that again. If you talk about her, you disappear." I remember those words now. I didn't before, but they were there, buried under years of being told to smile for the camera. And then the screaming. I was in a bed, new, strange, my legs kicking, my chest burning. I was calling for her. The first woman, the one who smelled like citrus. And another voice, cold. Enough. I don't know how long the panic lasted. Maybe minutes. Maybe centuries. Lucas found me on the kitchen floor, gasping, my palms flat against the tiles like I was trying to hold on to something. He tried to touch me. I flinched. He sat beside me instead, not saying anything. And somewhere in the middle of that, still on the floor, breath caught in my throat, vision swimming, I reached for my phone and dialed 911. The operator picked up on the third ring. 911, what's your emergency? My chest was caving in. My mouth opened, but no sound came out at first. Lucas was still kneeling beside me, one hand on my back, steadying my breath like he could anchor it. I finally forced the words out. "I've been kidnapped." A pause, sharper now. "Ma'am, are you safe right now?" I think so. I'm home." "Is the person who took you with you now?" No, it was a long time ago, I think. I just remembered it." Another pause, then a shift in tone, gentle, still controlled. "Okay, take a breath for me. You're not in danger right now?" "No, but it's real. I remember now. They weren't my parents." Lucas reached over and took the phone. "Hi, this is her fiancé. She's having a panic attack. Just came on about 15 minutes ago. She's been uncovering some things. Childhood photos that look clearly edited. No birth records. Weird inconsistencies. And she just had a very vivid memory. She believes she was abducted when she was around 5. It would have happened 25 years ago, outside the U.S. The operator stayed calm. "I understand. What's your location?" Lucas gave our address. "I'm going to log this as a welfare check and forward it to the department's investigative unit," she said. "You'll get a call from someone to follow up. If either of you feels unsafe in the meantime, don't wait. Call us back immediately." Lucas thanked her and hung up. I was still shaking, but the words had been said out loud to someone real, and there was no undoing that. I didn't sleep. I showered, changed clothes, folded laundry I didn't remember putting in. I think I emptied the dishwasher at one point. Lucas hovered, made tea, watched me like I was glassware in an earthquake. "You should rest," he said at one point. I nodded, didn't move. I kept expecting someone to knock on the door, or burst through it, or for the floor to just fall out from under me. Instead, the apartment stayed quiet, humming softly, like it didn't care what was happening to me. The next morning, I got an email. Case file opened. Pending contact from an assigned officer. Someone would be in touch. That was it. I showed Lucas. He read it twice, then just nodded. "It's real now," he said. Real. Like it hadn't been real when I was curled on the kitchen floor trying to remember if I'd ever actually had a mother. The knock came 2 days later. 3 taps, measured, calm, like a favor. I opened the door and saw my mom holding a brown paper bag like she was delivering cookies. My dad stood slightly behind her, hands in his coat pockets, face neutral. "Can we come in?" she asked, already stepping forward. Lucas appeared beside me. I nodded slowly and let them in. They sat on the couch like they were guests. My mom put the paper bag on the coffee table. "I brought some of that soup you like, the carrot one, from when you were sick that time. That time I was 8, and she told me to stop crying because I wasn't dying." "That soup?" "Thanks," I said flatly. She smoothed her coat and looked around the apartment like it might help her figure out what to say. My dad stayed standing. "We spoke to the police," she said finally. "They said you filed a report." I did. She looked like she wanted to be offended but didn't have the energy. "You should have just come to us first." "Would you have told me the truth?" She paused, blinked. "We didn't want to hurt you." Lucas spoke. "So it's true." My dad finally stepped forward. "Yes," he said, "you're not biologically ours." I exhaled through my nose. Not relief. Just confirmation of something I already knew but needed someone to say out loud. My mom nodded. "Your mother was young, very young. She couldn't take care of you. She begged us to take you with us." "Begged?" I said. "She wanted you to have a better life. We were leaving, and she was staying behind. It was war. She knew what that meant." "So where is she now?" My mom folded her hands. "We don't know." "You never checked." It was complicated. Lucas crossed his arms. "Why fake the photos?" My dad didn't flinch. We didn't want her to feel like she didn't belong. So you erased her real life and invented one? Lucas asked. My mom's voice cracked. You were 5. You cried for her for weeks. It was awful, but you adjusted. You forgot. We thought it was better that way. You could have told me. And said what? She snapped. That we took you from your mother? That you had a life you'd never remember? You would have hated us. You think I don't? Silence. Then she pulled something from her bag. A photo. Me, maybe 6 years old, holding my dad's hand. This one's real, she said. Like that was supposed to fix it. I didn't touch it. They stood. My dad looked at Lucas, then at me. We didn't steal you. We rescued you. I didn't answer. Neither did Lucas. And the worst part? For about 10 seconds, I almost believed them. I didn't ask them gently. I said, tell me her name. My mom blinked like she didn't understand the question. My dad did his usual thing where he rubbed his face like he was exhausted by the weight of having to deal with me. You were 5, she said. Your memories, they aren't reliable. Try me. She shook her head. We didn't want to hurt you. You already did. They looked at each other. Then my dad said the name like it was a confession. Mara Petrovic. No address, no contact, just the name. When I asked for more, my mom said, we lost touch. It was war. Right. And apparently war also erases your ability to type a name into Google. We started searching that night. Lucas was on his laptop. I was on mine. My Serbian is passable when I'm talking to elderly relatives about food, but online research is another story. Mara Petrovic. Apparently not an uncommon name. There were a few dead ends. A florist in Novi Sad, a retired gym teacher in Belgrade. Then I clicked on a grainy Facebook profile. No smile. No filters. Just a woman with dark hair pulled back, early 50s, faint lines around her eyes, and a face that made my stomach drop. I stared. Lucas leaned over. She looks like you, he said. I shook my head slowly. No, I look like her. It wasn't just a resemblance. It was the kind of similarity that makes you uncomfortable. The kind you don't see in the mirror until someone else points it out. Same jawline, same eyes, same expression when she wasn't trying to have one. She hadn't posted in months, but her About section listed a town in southern Serbia. The same one I'd heard once in passing when I was 10 and my mom slipped up. We sent a message. We used Google Translate. It probably sounded robotic, but Lucas checked it 3 times. I stared at the screen the entire time like it might answer me back. Hello, I was given your name. I think I might be your daughter. Then we waited. She replied the next morning. 1 line. Can we talk? We set up a video call. I don't remember agreeing to it. Lucas did all the clicking. I just sat there, wrapped in a blanket, feeling like I was about to meet someone from a dream I didn't know I'd had. And then her face appeared. She looked older than her profile photo. Tired, but still her. Still me. She didn't speak at first, just stared. Her hand went to her mouth like she needed to hold something in. I wasn't sure, she said finally. But now that I see you, I wanted to say something, anything, but the words got stuck somewhere behind the lump in my throat. I've been looking for you for 25 years. She said my name. It wasn't Kathy back then. It was a Milena. I froze. Milena. It didn't sound familiar, but it felt right, like a shoe I hadn't worn in decades, but still fit. I blinked, trying to stay steady. Did you give me up? Her face broke. Not dramatically, not like in the movies. Just this quiet collapse in her expression. Her mouth opened, then closed again. No, she said. God, no. She looked off screen for a second, like she needed to ground herself. Then she turned back. You were 5. I had to leave you with someone I trusted, a neighbor, a friend. Just for a couple hours while I ran to the municipal office to finalize some papers. When I came back, you were gone. She took a breath. They said your babysitter left earlier, said you went with her, but you never came home. Her voice cracked. We searched. I went to every police station, every camp. I posted flyers. I called shelters. Everyone said children get lost during war, but I knew you didn't get lost. She paused. I just didn't know where to look. I sat very still. Lucas was the one who asked, did you ever apply to leave? She nodded. I was approved for a resettlement program to the U.S. families with children got priority. I had everything ready. She looked at me then. But after you disappeared, they took me off the list. Not that I would have left without you. And then it hit me. Harder than any memory ever had. That's why. That's why they took me. Why they needed me. Why they edited me into those photos like I was some final puzzle piece. They didn't keep me out of love. They kept me because I was their escape route. We sat in silence for a long time after that. Her eyes were swollen and red. Mine probably looked the same. Lucas stayed quiet, sitting close, like he was trying to hold the whole room steady. "I never knew where you went," she whispered. "I thought maybe someone smuggled you across the border. I thought maybe you were gone. I didn't know what to even hope for." I couldn't find words for that. What do you say to a woman who lost you? "They gave me a new name," I finally said. "Kathy," she repeated, nodding, like even saying it caused her pain. "My Lena was your grandmother's name." I wasn't sure what emotion I had expected. Anger, relief. Instead, there was only emptiness. Like someone had scooped everything out of me, but left the shell behind so I could still walk around in public. 2 weeks later, we stood together at the precinct. She wore a navy coat. I carried the photographs. The officer recorded our statements, asked questions I barely remember answering. My mother, my real mother, pulled a worn flyer from her purse. The original missing child poster. My name was the first line, printed beneath a blurry photo. Milena Petrovic, age 5. Last seen in a red scarf. "This is her," she told the officer. "This is my daughter." And for the first time, someone actually nodded. We pressed charges, and I stopped pretending the past was something I had to carry for anyone else. It never reached trial. They were convicted during the investigation: immigration fraud, forgery of federal records, hiding a child abduction across international borders. Turned out they never surrendered their Serbian passports. They just stashed them away in a drawer, right next to whatever conscience they had left. Their American citizenship was stripped. They were deported within 6 months, no appeals, no do-overs, and they can never return. Nina stayed behind. Of course she did. She was born here. At first she said almost nothing, staring at the floor more than speaking. Then one day she showed up at my place and muttered, "That was really messed up." Not quite an apology, but it was something. Now, we talk more than we ever did when we were kids. She may not be my sister by blood, but she still remembers exactly how I take my coffee, and that matters. As for Mara, my true mother, she moved to the U.S. 6 months after things settled down. Through the family reunification program, Lucas and I helped with the applications. She found work at a bakery close to our apartment. She says it reminds her of the one she worked at when she was 21, before everything was torn apart. We're planning the wedding now. She's on the guest list. She cried when the invitation arrived. The people who raised me lost everything, but really they built their lives on lies. So when it finally collapsed, I didn't feel guilt. I felt release. Did I push too far? Or maybe not far enough? Tell me what you think in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe.